All right, good morning, rise and shine. 5 minutes after 8 o'clock. I know I'm early today, right? Doesn't happen very often. Well, remember that for all the times I'm ever late. I hope you guys had a good weekend. I hope all you fathers out there had a good Father's Day weekend. And if you have the chance to spend time remembering our fathers and our father figures in our lives, I hope you had a chance to do that. I know it was much more on the hotter side on Sunday compared to what we had on Saturday, but still, really, both days were not too bad. All right, so I see you are online now. Already began to comment. So a reminder, you can do so on YouTube, X, Twitter, as well as Facebook, and on our YouTube channels and Twitch as well. We're on there, so you have many opportunities to check not only the streaming side of things. If you need to see the stream right away and you can't get to another platform, obviously we're going to be on the app as well as on our wave3.com website. But if you want to engage in conversation with us, you have to be on the social media ones in order for that to happen. All right. Hopefully we can get that on all of our platforms one day, but that's where the technology is, at least for now. All right. Good to see you all. Let's talk about the two big things this week. Of course, it's going to be the heat and any rain chance that will try to sneak into the picture. And there's not going to be a lot to track, unfortunately, as we head down the road here. Let's start with a live look there into the traffic setup. This is I-65 near the airport, always a busy spot, especially for those trying to head east on the Waterston. This is actually for 8:07 in the morning. This is actually not bad at all. Pretty easy going on this Monday. So if you're worried about a lot of delays this morning as you head out so far, you're going to be on time. All right, 81 outside already. We dropped to about 77 for a while this morning. That was about the coolest that the city of Louisville got, but we're already reversing back up. It's going to be harder as the week evolves to see that drop below 80 at night. I think there's going to be at least a couple of nights this week we will likely end up with staying at 80 or higher all through the entire 36, 48-hour event. So certainly some hot nights coming our way. And that makes it really tough, too, in our AC units. We have to run constantly. The goal is to hopefully get everything to get caught up, right? And it just doesn't really have a chance to do that. All right, one heat advisory, at least one county in a heat advisory area, and that is Carroll County for today all the way through the evening. There's different criteria depending on different weather service offices in the country. This is a little more unusual for areas of the eastern Ohio Valley and the mid-Atlantic. So there's going to be a lot of alerts there just because of the unusual impact of getting to that level of heat for that area of the country. We are getting close to advisories and we're getting close to records in some cases, but we're just below the threshold on all of that. So at the moment, we do not have any alerts officially for the rest of us here in Wave Country. Can't rule out 1 or 2 days where that may change if we see a spike or confidence level in one or other issue. Heat is odd, guys. It's really hard to for us to communicate with other than the obvious things of, take care of yourselves, drink plenty of water, check the back seat, don't take your pets out walking, try to save money on energy bills by adjusting your thermostat, the stuff we tell you every year. Why do we say it every year? Because all the things I just listed keeps happening every year as far as the negative impacts of not doing those items. Still are stories that we have to do every year. So really, this is a setup where it's about duration. This heat wave is going to be such a prolonged event that the actual heat within itself, individualized by day, not necessarily making headlines, whether it's the heat index or the actual temperature, but the entire piece is significant and is a big one on our bodies to be able to adjust, especially the first one. So I don't foresee us having an alert day for this right now just because of the idea. I think everyone knows that the heat has arrived. But we want you guys just to make sure there's going to be other additional alerts and weather service as we go along. But we would just want to make sure everyone uses some common sense and ask questions if you need help. That's key on that. All right, that's enough of my heat soapbox for this week anyway. Where do we stack up on 90-degree days, by the way? Well, we've now moved that needle to 3 as of yesterday. Made it to 95 yesterday. It was a hot one for Father's Day. At this point in the year for last year, we were at 4. And we ended up with 23. Last year wasn't too bad, although the hottest part was really later. Our hottest we ever got of all last year was 99. And we did that on the 28th of August, near the very end of the summer season. So to get it on the front end where we could get up to that level again, it's why it stands out a bit more. The record, 2010, 55 days of 90 plus temperatures. Let's hope we do not get back to that anytime soon. Today, we're expecting it to be number 4 at least, as 95 is easily reachable. What can ever shake or bust the heat forecast is going to be a thunderstorm that pops in over the radar or over the airport where the temperature is being measured at about 4:55 in the afternoon, lasts 3 minutes, and resets the clock or the thermometer to where it's back below 90 and never reached it at all. That's happened before. I'm not going to say that's a bad thing. No one will be upset, but that's about the only way you can bust these kind of forecasts is going to be by clouds and a downpour that hits. Otherwise, bet on that. Bet on the 90s. Okay, so you can see cloud cover already starting to increase in central Kentucky. That is moisture being fed our way are what we call PWATs. Best way to explain that is our PWAT number is roughly about a 1.8, which means that if we were to get a downpour today and you were to get the max potential of that one downpour of its entire lifespan, and say it's in 1 hour's time, you could potentially get about an inch, a little under 2 inches of rainfall. So when you get high levels of moisture and a very weak steering flow, that's where we got to watch for any localized flash flooding. Right now, I think that's going to be very, very limited. But not just that, you can also get some gusty winds if any of these do develop. They will likely focus a bit more on the edge of our strong high, so roughly through just west of Louisville, and then curls back to Indiana. There's actually some signal that there could be a couple of downpours that form, say, near Seymour, and then curl into northeast Kentucky later on this evening, kind of avoiding Louisville kind of altogether. Although that's just kind of a generic idea on the storm path. I do think there's going to be some pop-ups even in the core of the I-65 area and even around Louisville. I think 1 or 2 are going to form. Just be ready. If you hear the thunder, get inside, especially if you're hanging out by the pool, right? Otherwise, the bigger story is going to be the thunderstorm action on the ring of fire on the edge of this dome of heat. That's where your bigger storms will take place. These usually are your typical, they're slower movers when you get in the center of the high, but they usually just don't last very long. They're all mainly heat-based, okay? So as we head down into the tropics, we are keeping an eye on a couple of those waves. One off the South Carolina coast that is showing signs of developing and moving toward the United States later in the extended. So that's why it's 0% in the short term. There's nothing there. But the idea is something could move there, and therefore it's been designated as 30%. Meanwhile, you head toward the Bay of Campeche, and then you got one that's going up to about a 70% now chance of development. It's a bit odd here because you have a gyre that is just typical of producing multiple low pressures over and over and over again in this area of Central America and to the western tip of Cuba. This is likely going to take the current one that has got a high designation for it and likely keep it closer to the coastline or inland areas of Mexico, but it will also help in developing what will likely be another one on the eastern side, and therefore that one may have the chance to get a little more into the Gulf and become a little more of a problem. So Hurricane Center is going to challenge on this region here because they may end up with multiple systems being flagged. They have to watch while they're still watching the far west Atlantic one there. I hope that all made sense. But right now, technically, there is nothing threatening the United States. Okay, so let's get into the short term. There's a lot of fuel out there. That's the thing. You got a lot of fuel with this humidity and the heat. It's not too much of a trigger for thunderstorms. So they're very disorganized in general as they pop this afternoon and evening. So they form, and then we get into the evening, loss of heating in general. We lose all those golds. The air begins to cool down. The ground tries to cool down. Heat back up tomorrow. Get 1 or 2 pop-ups possible. Same thing again. Begin to cool the air down. And then we get less and less of fuel to work with as the week wears on, as the air actually does get drier later this week versus the first 2 days of the week. High pressure. The best way I wanted to show this is that gold all the way into the red there, indicating to the Atlantic. This is where the center of it is. Very unusually strong high in the northern latitudes, leading to a lot of heat issues all the way into southeast areas of Canada, while you still got snow falling in the northern Rockies here at the moment. It's the reason why Florida, especially southern Florida, has been stuck in a moisture train at times, and it's the reason why our weather has, well, really quieted down as of late. But as we evolve later this week into the weekend, and notice we start to lose the ridge a bit, begins to break down. There is a front that tries to dig in from the Midwest in the Ohio Valley. It tries its best to smush it down to the south, cut down on the intense heat in a way, and try to give us a few showers and storms. I don't think it's going to get rid of the heat altogether. I still think it'll continue to want to fight back at times, but at least if this is right, then the upper 90s that we have in a 10-day now will be replaced with more of a 90 to 93 type of outlook in the extended. We'll see. One thing I caution you guys about is, again, if you go at 97, 98 degrees or higher for about 4 or 5 days straight, in our area, especially in our agricultural setup, you run into what they call a rapid onset drought. We've seen it happen before. A flash drought happened. It came close last year. The year before, it really kicked in. You get a flash drought. I'm telling you that for farmers that know this, it reverses everything in your entire economics too for the summer, because you go from having a good spring, a lot of rainfall, and then you go just a couple of weeks without much rain and very intense heat. All that rain you had in the spring, it's like it just doesn't matter. It's gone. It's evaporated out, and then you quickly go into a drought status. That's what we need to watch in this environment, is if we don't get as many fronts dropping down out of Canada into our area that we need to have, or several fading tropical systems to give us some rainfall, we're going to end up in a flash drought status that could happen as early as the 4th of July weekend. So a lot to monitor for you farmers. We're watching that as well. Just try to go easy on the watering, guys, as much as you can if you're able to over the next week or two, just in case that scenario does try to develop. It's easier on everybody. All right, here's a look at the heat index. These are not actual temperatures, but what the feels like temperatures are. I just want to show you all that you can tell that for the majority of the days, a lot of the feels like temperatures are going to be below the actual temperatures that we're looking at as we head down the road. Here are the actual ones. They're not much better, but that's the reason why you don't have a lot of heat advisories right now, because the two numbers are not, far apart in a big, big way. Still looking at Thursday as our day where summer begins, but up into the upper 90s, then climbing into the upper 90s near 100. That will be potential record days if we hit that Friday or Saturday. And then we'll see if that front can drop down Sunday, Monday, and give us a few storms, and maybe just give us a slight little reality check, which would be nice at the very end of the 10-day. And we'll see what happens as we head toward the 4th of July holiday. All right, that's enough rambling for me today. Got to jump back on with another cut-in, but at least want to update you guys on where we stand with the heats. And we'll just, it's a very slow evolving pattern, right? So the bigger thing that's going to change faster for you all will be the thunderstorms. It'll be daily. So make sure to keep us updated on what you see. If any thunderstorms develop in your area, especially if you were to get any with high winds and some small hail, which will be possible. All right, take care, guys. And I will see you all come up on the flip side. Take care.